Hey, what's going on, family? This is the Real Word. This is your boy, Pastor Sander Cameau, and I'm with my guy.
What's up, y'all? This is your co-host, Rickard, Jean-Noel. Shout out to everybody that's been watching. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting the movement. Shout out to everybody that's just been watching the show thus far. This is the 21st episode. So we're on episode 21, which means we only got 4 more episodes left within the season before, basically, I guess you can say we go to season 3. So shout out to everybody that's been watching. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting. Shout out to everybody that has subscribe to the YouTube channel, all the people that's been sharing. I hope you share it tonight. I'm sorry we're a little bit late, but we still here. Consistency is key. So what up? We got a special guest. Introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Dr. Pierre, Jacques Pierre. I'm a pastor. It's a pleasure to be here. I'd like to congratulate you both for the work that you have been doing. I thank you for sharing your platform with me in order to share and educate on a very important topic that's very dear to my heart, and also that I see that is very important to our community that we talk about this topic. So it's good to be here. Congratulations for the work you've been doing, and 20th episode. 21st episode. So it's been great. You've been doing a great thing, educating the public and bringing great information. So it's been a wonderful thing. I always enjoy it every Monday. So congratulations, and thank you for the invite.
Thank you. And you started with us from the very bottom. You was there when we was at the library. You was there when we was at Jeff's studio, and now you're here with us in the Hughes studio. So what can you say about the growth since you've been here and been watching us grow to fruition to the point where we're now incorporated, we're filing for the 501c3, and we're officially licensed by New York State? What do you think about that from when we started?
I think this is wonderful because you came with a game plan, and to be able to move on and to be able to do great things. And so I've seen nothing but growth and consistency. So which is good, because usually, people that look like us don't have consistency in anything that they're doing. And so, but the fact that you have consistency, and I know through thick and thin, you and Pastor Cameau been working together to work hard and educate the public. So it's been a wonderful thing. So I like the growth from the library, and then from the other place, and here it's a beautiful studio you have here. And I know that greater things are in store for you, so much blessings to you both.
Thank you. Shout out to Sanders, man. How you been, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I have no complaints. We're going to talk about something after we talk to Pastor Pierre with a big initiative that we're going to do across the 5 boroughs, including Long Island. So I'm just feeling blessed. I'm blessed. I'm honored to be working with you, sir. My brother, Rickard, Jean-Noel.
Likewise,
my brother, Dr. Pierre. I want to thank the Lord for you as well, too. You're an amazing individual. I want to give a shout out to a couple of people who's watching. I see Eric from Boston, from Massachusetts, always watching. Salute to you, my guy.
Shout out to Eric, man. He always supporting. He supports the show. He supports the ministry. He supports even my sermons I post. He's always in the groups, liking them, sharing them. So shout out to you, Eric.
I'm gonna give a shout out to his family too, because his uncle allowed me to speak for the New England Conference when I was 25. I want to thank you guys for that. Your uncle also looked out for me in regards to speaking in Florida the first time. Pastor Ronald G. Baptiste, salute to you, my guy. God continue to bless your ministry. And like I said, man, you have 2 good preachers, so bring them to Mass. Dr. Pierre, I've been there many times, so you got to share the wealth. Dr. Pierre and the future pastor Rickard Jean-Noel. So definitely bring them out, man. Good speakers, so I vouch for them 100%.
And shout out to C-Shot SDA Church. They showed me a lot of love this past Saturday. Shout out to White Plains. I'll be out there this Saturday to preach. Shout out to Marlowe and I Serve. They're having a huge convention out in Connecticut in June, so look out for that. Shout out to everybody that's just doing their thing, man. Each one empower each other, each one teach one. What was you about to say, Pastor Pierre?
Well, yes, I've seen the growth with the number of people who are watching the program and who are also sharing this information, which is good. So it shows that you're bringing good information, you're educating the public, and people are enjoying and liking what you're doing. So continue to do the good work. So I'm proud to be part of something so successful, something so productive.
Thank you, thank you. The crazy part is the same thing as Sanders always say. It hasn't even been a year yet, right, Sanders?
It hasn't been in a year, and we just we really haven't even started. The thing is that, like I said, we are incorporated. We thank God for that, for Men of Vision, like both of you guys. Shout out to Judith as well too. And like I said, you know, once we are not for profit, which is going to happen, we can really do some bigger things for the glory of the Lord. So I'm just excited about that tremendously. You know, so we're gonna make this announcement as soon as Dr. Pierre wants to share what's on his heart and everything like that.
Yeah, so today I want to share a very important topic that is sort of like a taboo in our community. It's depression among black youths. And it's a very important topic because we're losing our black youth in a high rate because they're depressed, and we're going to talk about some of the reasons why they're depressed, and sometimes that leads into depression. Some 30% of our young people are dying. As a matter of fact, expert says that it's from a study that was made that was done in 2012. It says it's the third leading cause of death and suicide, of death among our black youths. And so one of the things about our community, the black community, and especially the Haitian community, is that we don't believe that young people have issues. What our parents usually think, the way they think, is that once they provide you with food and shelter, and so your thing is you shouldn't have any problem, because especially if you're not paying bills, you don't have any bills, you're a teenager, you're not paying bills, you're not working, so you're supposed to be going to school, make good grades, and come home and be happy and have fun, so you shouldn't have any problems. But what they don't understand, especially young people living in the 21st century, during the technology age and social media age, our young people are having tremendous issues. They're going through tremendous issues, and because of that, it has affected them in so many ways. And it leads to depression, and depression leads to suicide and a whole lot of other different things. So this is something we want to talk about today.
So we're gonna get deep into that.
Absolutely.
So what's the first thing that you wanna tackle in regards to that?
Well, we want to talk about what are some reasons why young people are committing suicide or being depressed, because it's ecological, which means that it's environmental. So the environment where the person lives contributes to the person being depressed because of peer pressure, of the people that you meet every day, young people, especially on social media, and the pressure that young people have to deal with. When I was growing up in the 90s, at that time social media was not so popular, and so because of that, we didn't have the pressure of looking at social media and seeing our friends and cyberbullying. You know, a lot of young people, especially teenagers, they're committing suicide because and they're being depressed because their friends, their peers, are bullying them on social media. And so because of that, it's causing a whole lot of issues. And so it's cultural. Our culture and the music we listen to, believe it or not, cause us to be depressed. What we watch on television, what we watch on social media, you know, the television. A lot of time we allow television to entertain our kids. Parents are not entertaining their kids. Parents are not talking to their kids. So it's also has something to do with family. Because a lot of times young people are depressed because of so much abuse at home.
So let's break this down, right? Abuse at family. Especially within our culture, we know that a lot of things happen in the home behind closed doors that it's almost taboo to speak about. And we know, like, even within our community, a lot of SDA children, especially females, they're running away from home because of things that's going on in the home. And sometimes their parents are so strict that they feel constricted, in the sense that they feel like they can't be themselves, and they can't, like, they have no freedom, so that ends up pushing them away where they run off, you know?
Absolutely.
Because we had a discussion about this a few weeks ago where in today's society, with everything being highly sexualized and everybody living that quote-unquote free life, it's kind of even harder to live a Christian life. And some women, they might feel that urge, same way how men feel that urge, and they don't know what to do with it. And they're like, okay, I want to be this good Christian. And I'm not saying that they're going to kill themselves over that, but let's say they make a mistake and then they're like attacked for that mistake, like over and over and over and over. Let's say they have a child out of wedlock and then they're shunned from the church, they shunned from their parents' home. Because some parents are extreme like that. You get pregnant, you get kicked out of my house, and then that person ends up homeless, and what happens in that situation? Now they're depressed, you know?
Absolutely.
And they have a child, they're raising a child by themselves, they're depressed. Some people are getting touched at home, and they're depressed too. Some people feel like, oh, I just want to go out and party, be a regular teen, I got to stay in the house, I'm depressed too. And some of these people that's depressed, they're turning to drugs.
And so the major reason why kids, as you said, young people are being depressed, the major reason is home, because home's supposed to be the primary socialization place where the kids are learn how to socialize, learn how to learn certain things about their characters and building their characters and building their self-esteem. And we find that the parents are not doing that. And one of the things that as you talked about is the sexual abuse that's happening in our culture that people don't talk about, and our young people are going through that. You know, I have counseled young people who are young boys who became gay and homosexual, because they said that when I try to find out how you became gay, they said, oh, well, dad or uncle or brother or cousin used to molest them while they're growing up. And our girls as well, you know, daddy and uncle are sleeping with them or raping them, and a lot of time there's big cover up in the home. You know, a lot of time mom knows that dad is really nutty and he's a criminal. So, but you don't want to target it. You don't want to confront the situation. And our young people are dying. They are running away from home. And when they run away from home, sometimes they wind up in the system. Sometimes they wind up being abducted on the streets and being killed for their body parts. And sometimes they're lured to become prostitutes. So we're losing our young people. Our young black people are very precious, especially our young girls, and we are losing them. And the percentage is already low. We have lost so many of our young black men. A lot of them are in jail. A lot of them being killed by the police. And then now, instead of home, protecting these young people, and so they're living in toxic environment at home, in brutal and unproductive and environment at home, and an environment that is not that is non-functional. There's no functionality, no productivity going on. And so because of that, these kids are depressed, because, you know, one of the things that baffles me, how can a man look at your little girl who's supposed to be your princess, whom you're supposed to treat as your princess, whom you're supposed to build her self-esteem so that she can grow up from a little girl to become a princess and to one day become a queen, to become a productive member of society. How can you see that little girl and then you feel aroused and you want to use her as your sexual object and to start sleeping with her? What kind of man would do that? But even when I cannot wrap my mind, my brain around.
So sorry, Pastor.
It's happening in our culture.
So sorry to cut you off. Somebody asked you a question. Somebody said, Moy says, great points on how sexual abuse can contribute to homosexual behavior. But what does one do if they're in that situation and kicked out of the church?
Well, first of all, you know, that notion should not be, you know, you shouldn't kick a person out of the church if they're homosexual. And so, your job, our job is to love. And by loving the person and you're helping the person to change their behavior so that they can come into understanding, they can have a moral campus, and also they can have a sense of, how you call that, they can have a sense of consciousness, and to understand right from wrong, because we got to understand, even though the media glorify homosexuality, but our Bible is clear that it is not something that God finds pleasure in. And there was a time in the encyclopedia for mental health, and they used to classify it as a mental health, and it's a mental health sometimes linked with demonic spirits, because there is a spirit. We don't want to tap into these things, but it is, because don't forget that we are, as human beings, we are spiritual. Before we had a human experience, we first had a spiritual experience.
And the spirits that roam the earth right now.
Absolutely. So we're all spiritual. So therefore, if God is not within you, so the evil one can easily get into you. And there is a particular demon called porneia. That's where we find the word pornography from. That spirit is the one that caused people to feel a man, because God created us so that a man should be wired. When you see a female and you supposed to back, you're supposed to feel,
lock and key.
Absolutely. You're supposed to feel aroused, and your eyebrows should go up when you see a good-looking female that actually, but that particular spirit can come into you and change it around. And but understand, we all came from a pair of parents, a mother and a father. So if all of us become gay, so the human population will stop. So it just does not make any sense. But nevertheless, when we have people who are gay, when we have our kids who are supposedly gay, our job is not to kick them away and push them out of the church, push them out of the home. Our job is to love them. Our job is to help them to change. Our job is to pray for them. Our job is to counsel them and plead with our Lord so that He can chastise that demon that change their sexual orientation.
Somebody asked a cool question. Moy says, what are the steps to ridding homosexuality from someone's life? Wow, yo.
Boy, he's going in today.
What are the steps to ridding homosexuality from someone's life?
How do you rid sexuality from someone's life?
Homosexual.
How do you do that? Well, homosexuality is a lot of times is a learned behavior, believe it or not, because a lot of time it's because someone had tried it with that kid while the kid was growing up. And where we got that from? We got that from our slave masters, because God didn't create us for all these nonsense. And they used to be the one who actually forced it upon us, and that's how it becomes a thing in our community. And it's not even that high.
Back in Roman times, like that's what they used to do. They used to have something called a squire, which is like a sidekick, basically. And basically that person would travel with them, and the person that was having sex with the younger squire, usually like a young boy or a younger man, they would not consider themselves to be gay because they were giving, but the person that was receiving, that person was seen as less. But even sometimes in barbaric warfare, the Vikings and some other people, they would rape the men that they defeated. Like, they would put in a booty. Absolutely. That's where that term booty come from. Like, when, like said, the victor goes to spoils. Basically, the treasure, the gold, the women, and sometimes the men were the booty.
Absolutely. So it's a learned behavior. So the same way we learn it, we can unlearn it. So the idea is counseling, prayer and counseling, and make sure you watch what the kid is watching. You pay attention to what they're watching, because now there are subliminal messages in the movies, even sometimes in the cartoons. Believe it or not, that all TV programs. That is why it's called TV program. It was there to program you and program your mind to think differently from the way you're supposed to be thinking. differently from the right way you're supposed to be thinking. So the TV programs are there. They were strategically programmed to change your mind from the right way to the wrong way. So in on TV programs, you see things that shows you it's okay to be for the homosexual behavior. It's a normal thing, and so you gotta watch what the kid is watching. You gotta pay attention to what they're watching. Pay attention to the people that they associate themselves with. Because I said a lot of times of learned behavior. We find a lot of our young people who became gay, although we were talking about depression, but a lot of our young people who became gay, it's because it becomes a style now, because they have friends. You know, a lot of girls became gay because they have friends who are gay, and then so they hang out with those friends.
Speaking of that, right? There was this girl I went to high school with, and during high school, the whole three years of high school, she was gay. Like, she had a girlfriend, everything. The other day, this girl got engaged, and she's pregnant now. So, shout out to her, because, like, I'm happy, like, she's engaged now. Her and her fiance, they make a beautiful couple. They have a child on the way. It's a beautiful thing. I think economics play a huge role in depression as well. For example, I work at a shelter, right? So there's a lot of men that's homeless there, and because they can't provide for their children, like I was speaking to a guy today, he got 7 children, he can't provide for any of them, and he can't even afford a place to put them in. The only thing he can really afford right now is like maybe a room, and he can only afford that room with the help of government assistance. So imagine being a man that can't provide, that can't even house his own children, that can't feed himself or house himself, let alone his 7 children. And you're sitting in there, and the shelter is more so like a prison, and and all you got time to do is think. And absolutely. Economically, you're beat up, mentally, you're beat up, emotionally, you're beat up. There's no woman there to comfort you. So, you know, because women play a huge role in healing us as men, you know.
Absolutely.
Most of the time, you have what's called pillow talk with your wife, and you, like, most men should have that relationship with their wife where they could tell their wife their deepest, darkest, you know, secrets and their feelings, and could be vulnerable amongst each other, because that's where the love and the connection builds. So these men are sitting there alone, and maybe some men find enjoyment in other men there, so because the women is gone. And same thing with prison. These people, same mind state in prison. So it's many things within the community that causes this stuff.
Moise asked another question. Oh, you want to say something? He said this is an interesting topic. This is an intriguing topic. I don't mean to go in, but this would be my last question. You could ask more questions, bro. He says, are there case studies on successful attempts to counsel a homosexual/bisexual person back to a heterosexual lifestyle?
There's been people that's been diverted. They call it diverted or diverted, where some people. I just told them an example. The girl who was gay in high school for 3 years, and now she's about to get married and she's pregnant.
Yeah. Pastor Donnie McClurkin, he was gay, and so it starts first with a level of consciousness. Because before you can receive counseling, you gotta first understand that there is a problem, and you gotta want treatment. You gotta want to change. So once you understand that there is a problem, and you want to change, and then therefore, yes, there is counseling for that. So it's, as I said before, it's a learned behavior, because God did not create us to do that, but it's a learned behavior. And then, so if you understand that it's not right, and you think that it's not in accordance with the Word of God, with what God loves, and so you want to change, and therefore, yes, it can be done, and it has been done. As I said before, Pastor Donnie McClurkin, he said all the time that he was once gay, and so he became a straight person because he had a level of consciousness, and he understood that he had a problem, understood that is who he was made as a man to be with a woman. So having thoughts, sexual thoughts, and finding a man attractive, it was not the norm for him. It was not normal, so he actually decided to seek counseling. Yes.
And some people, they engage in homosexual behavior due to their circumstance. Because, for example, some people, they do gay for the stay when they're in jail, and they're only gay for when they're in jail to either get protection or to take or just to be there for pleasure, and then once they get out, they go back to a woman. Another example of circumstantial, I knew a girl, she had 3 kids by I think 3 different fathers, and then neither one of them were with her, so all of a sudden she ended up she ended up dating a woman that dresses and behaves like a man, but on the side she would still sleep with men. So
basically, Moyes basically said, I was asking for case studies that I could refer back to in order to show others.
Well, there are case studies. We can forward those information to you later on to give you some real numbers, case studies. Yes.
Moyes, Google's your friend though.
And
Google is your friend, I agree.
yes, yes, but it can be done, and it has been done, definitely.
So let's go back to depression, because we're spending too much time on.
Absolutely. So as I said before, family is very important. You mentioned that, we talk about, you mentioned grown men who are married, and now because of financial circumstances, yes. Remember in 2008, 2009, during the recession, when the stock market crashed, and we saw a lot of family men who actually were depressed because they lost a lot of money and in the stock market, and because of that they come home, they kill their wives, they kill their kids, because now after a while they're losing their home, they become homeless, and they can't provide food and shelter for their parents, for their kids, and for their wife, for their family, because God created us as men to be providers, even though we live in a culture now where both men and women work and provide at home. So, but when a man feels like he cannot provide for his wife, he cannot be what God created him to be, so it has, those instinct comes in. So, and then, but one of the things again that cause depression and even suicidal ideation is because there is an emptiness in there. There is a sense that something is missing, because once that thing is missing, even when there are outside circumstances, because you were well equipped within, you can deal with outside issues that's going on, because something is missing within. And that is why sometimes people look for it in different places. People look for it in pornography. People look for it in drugs and alcohol and sexuality, because there's something missing. So once you have that connection with God, you know with God everything is possible.
Wow.
Once Jesus filled that emptiness, that void, then you can take on everything. Why? Because the same power that rose Jesus from the dead is within you. God put that power within you, and that power it empowers you. That power rejuvenates you. It gives you the strength to go on to have internal peace, even when there are outside trials and tribulation. You still can deal with it. So that's not a reason to.
So what about the people that don't know they have that power within them?
That's why a lot of these people, when outside circumstances come, there is nothing from within that can protect them. So that spirit that gives you strength, that helps you to think rationally, you don't have that. So that is when the spiritual, the demonic spirits decide to come in, and the first thing they tell you that you're unworthy, because depression lets you know that you're unworthy. You feel that you cannot. You feel a sense of helplessness and hopelessness. You feel so pessimistic that you can't do anything. You feel guilty and unworthy, and those are the elements that are associated with depression.
Do you think depression leads to promiscuity?
Yes, it can lead to promiscuity, because sometimes when we are depressed, especially young people now who are depressed because they've been abused sexually at home. Once you've been abused sexually at home, it opens the door for you to become very promiscuous. So sometimes in the church or even in the community, we bash our young girls because they sleep around, but we don't know their stories. A lot of times it's because they've been molested at home.
Come on, preacher.
Repeatedly.
See.
And so that is a behavior that is indicative to a person who's been abused sexually. Once you're abused sexually, it opens the door for you to become promiscuous. Now, because you want to you want to feel it in order to numb that pain.
So basically, you're saying
numb
that
negative experience.
Basically, you're saying that they feel like no one loves them at home, so then they go out looking for love.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what do you feel about that, Sanders? How do you feel about depression? Have you ever dealt with depression personally?
Yes. When my cousin died from liver cancer, that was something that really triggered a sad point in my life, and I feel like what really keeps me sane, like I said,
what was the causes on you? Like, how did it affect you?
In regards to just being very down, not being myself, you know what I'm saying?
Because some people, when they're depressed, they either eat a lot or they don't eat at all. Some people stay in bed. It's hard for them to get up and do anything.
Yeah. I know for a fact that I just didn't want to get up. I know that for a fact in regards to when my cousin passed away. But I think, like I said, for me, what really works best with depression is, of course, there is prayer. If you can't pray for yourself because you're depressed, you don't have the energy in your strength, you could ask a lot of people to pray for you. Also, therapy is very essential. And for me, it's listening to music and giving back. So when you things that you love, don't make yourself idle. You know what I'm saying? Don't be in a situation where you're by yourself, but you're constantly giving back. So the more that, I give back, the more I listen to music, prayer, and just getting involved positivity, that helps the depression. So that's pretty much, that's what it is. And it's a process to get through.
Those are great coping mechanisms because it's very important. But one of the things we want to do, we need to understand that we as parents, not only we need to protect our young people, but we need to engage in healthy conversation with them. We need to conversate, we need to talk to our young people, we need to engage them, because once we don't do that, it leaves room for depression, and especially if they're going through their little issues. So there are other issues that can take place. Sometimes our kids, our teenagers, sometimes they're going through peer pressures. They're going through issues within their peers. Sometimes they're being bullied on the internet, being bullied in person in school. So once you don't talk to them, you don't find out what's going on. And sometimes when depression can overpower them, and also can lead to suicide and all these other things, and it may be too late. And we're losing in the church. We're losing a lot of our young people who are dying because they're depressed and they're killing themselves. So this got to stop. We got to start talking about it. We got to start protecting our kids. We got to stop abusing them sexually, abusing them physically. We have to stop abusing them emotionally and psychologically. We got to learn to protect our kids because they are special to us. They are precious.
Have you ever dealt with depression, Pastor Pierre?
No. And so you said something that was very important, because depression. Now you can being depressed after something happened, a major catastrophe in your life happened, and you're depressed for a short period of time. It's normal. So, but it's when it becomes extended, after beyond like 2-3 weeks, then it starts becoming like a big issue. It becomes chronic depression.
And then you gotta take drugs, psychosis drugs.
Absolutely. Right? So, but understand. Depression is not really a mental issues like they try to diagnose it. Depression, a lot of time, it has to do with I said before, with issues that goes on in the environment, in the nest where you grew up, in the home. Because don't forget, we have a lot of our young black people who are growing up in single parent homes, and mom has to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. So there is no dad. So this kid coming home by themselves, and there is no sense of direction. There is no sense of normalcy in the home. There is no father to show them love. And even though sometimes we have fathers in the home, they are present physically, but they're not there emotionally.
I could attest to that in a sense where I dealt with depression for a while, different stages of depression. When I was younger, I used to deal with depression, I could say, I used to party a lot. I used to smoke, I used to drink. I remember I got into a car accident one time, and a friend, he was going through his depression, and he crashed his car into another car, and you know, from that car accident, I was injured badly, and then I was feeling sorry for myself for a while, and I was in pain, like physical pain, which caused mental pain, and then for a while I felt sorry for myself. And then even after that, like for a while, it transpired because like the pain that I suffered from that accident, it stayed with me for a long, long time. Like I remember sometimes I couldn't stand on both feet for too long, or like one foot would start getting numb. I couldn't sit down for too long, or my back would start to hurt. If I sat too long, it would hurt. If I stand too long, it would hurt. I used to club a lot. When I would go to the club, I couldn't stand up the whole night, so I would have to sit on the couch. Like when it rained, it would hurt. So like every time these things would happen, it would remind me of that day. So like maybe I had that post-traumatic stress, but it kept happening over and over and over and over and over again. And I remember I used to just take painkillers all the time to like not feel it. I was taking muscle relaxers and painkillers. Then when the painkillers stopped, like I stopped getting painkillers because I stopped taking them after a while because they don't make me drowsy or they'll make me sleepy. And it'll be hard to get up, and I feel like they only attribute to depression. Like I would see a therapist sometimes. I would go see her every Sunday for a few hours, but she wasn't the best therapist. She was more worried about my sex life than
mental health.
Yeah, about my mental health. So basically, I would just smoke. I would smoke weed, and sometimes, like I remember, Drake had a song when he was like, "I've been in the house with the curtains on. I don't know how long. I forgot how the words go with it, but basically, he was saying that like his curtains have been closed, and he's been in the house for so long, he don't know if it's day or night, because he's been in the house for so long. And that used to be me. Like I used to wake up, smoke, go back to sleep, wake up, smoke, order Chinese food, smoke again. If a girl come over, she'll come over, we smoke together. We did what we did, order Chinese food again, smoke, kick her out, lay down, smoke. My homeboys come over, we smoke. They stay for a bit, they leave. Then I'm there alone again with my thoughts, depressed. Wake up, smoke again. And that would be my life, like over and 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 over again. And I felt like at one point, like, I didn't have much to live for. Like, I remember, like, there was this other kid, like usually when you're going through something, there's someone that's going through the same exact thing that you're going through. It's just that sometimes you haven't met. There used to be this kid at my church. He used to sit outside all the time. And every time I go outside, like I used to, when I was younger, I used to leave church and I would go on the roof and I would just stand on the roof. Like sometimes I thought about jumping, sometimes I didn't, but I would just stand on the roof. And no one would know I'm on the roof because everybody else is inside church. Church is going on and I'm standing on the roof of the church and no one knows. And I used to just be there, and it was like a flimsy little gate because there used to be a staircase to go up on top of the roof of the church. And I used to just be there. Like I used to just stand there and I used to just look down. And like every time I looked down, I don't know what I was going to do, but every time I looked down, I would see that kid. And I would go down and go talk to the kid. So it was almost like he saved me and I saved him at the same time. And I would talk to him, I'm like, yo, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, and then he'd be like, I'm depressed. And I'm like, you're depressed? And I'm like, I'm depressed. And he'd be like, how you depressed? I said, what you mean how I'm depressed? He'd be like, oh, you have two parents in the home, you live in this big house, you drive a nice car, this and that, like, you always got girls around you, you're always in the club, you always dress nice. How are you depressed? That doesn't make sense. I'm like, what do you mean that doesn't make sense? I'm like, yo, like at the end of the day when I'm home alone, I take those clothes off, I'm sitting in a room by myself and no one else is there. Like, how do you think I feel? And if I'm high, I'm alone with my thoughts and my mind just is racing and my brain is sizzling and I'm just sitting there with my thoughts, like, and that's when the devil plays in my head, because you know the devil's idle mind's the devil's playground. And I'm like, so what do you think? And I'm like, why are you depressed? And he was like, how he was going through a situation with his parents and in his house. He was like almost the opposite of me. Like, you know, we lived in a big house, he lived in a small apartment with a bunch of family members. I have both parents in the house, he only had one parent in the house. My parents always pushed me to go to school and finish college and everything else. His mother pushed him to stay in church, but he felt like she was forcing religion upon him, and his mother blamed him for everything that his father did. And his father, I don't know, his father was a playboy, I guess. So like all those things contribute to his depression. And then he felt like his mom being overly religious and thinking that God was going to save them from everything that they was going through without them having to make changes in their own personal life. She forced that pressure on him. It made him leave the church to the point where he moved away and his mother barely sees him, and he moved far away from his mother, and his mother doesn't even know where he lives now. But when I spoke to him, he said that's how he found his peace, by getting away from the home and the people who was judging him and the things that he had to go through, and him having to deal with the criticism and the verbal abuse because of someone else who was abusing his mother. He had to deal with the repercussions of that, and he was verbally abused, and she used spirituality to abuse him, in a sense, you could say. So he had to just basically get away. Me, I got away basically by stop clubbing, stop drinking so much, stop smoking, focusing more on school. Like, I used to go to school full time, go to work part time. Go to school full time and go to work full time. And I just started doing different things. And then eventually I got more involved in the church. I turned my life around. Now I got my family, and I got a sense of real happiness and joy. It's not like that fictitious stuff that I used to get in the club or on the streets. It's different.
Absolutely. So you're certainly a blessing, and I thank God for you. You're certainly a blessing because all these things that you went through. There's a whole different components that you talk about here that could have taken your life. You were depressed. You found yourself standing on top of the roof, looking down, so you could have easily jumped down. So I guess it's the grace of God that caused you not to jump. And you used to smoke a lot of weed. A lot of people die of overdose because when it comes to things like that, the more you want to numb the pain, the more higher doses you want to take in order for you to get to that height you were with the smoking and the...
And I used to engage in sexual behavior a lot. And the thing is, when you're going through those things, you find people that's going through similar things.
Yes.
Like one of the girls I was dealing with at the time, she was going through sexual abuse at her home, so she found herself in multiple guys' homes. Another girl, her parents was going through a divorce. Her mother was cheating on her father, so her mother left the house, and her father was sad, and she was coming to my house, and we was hanging out. Another girl, she was in her house, but she could barely pay, and she was facing eviction. And all these girls were going through all their drama, and we there in this room smoking and trying to, basically we're using drugs, alcohol, and sex to not think about what we're going through. And I know for a fact there's a lot of youth out there right now using food, sex, drugs, and alcohol to numb that pain so they don't have to deal with the things of reality.
Absolutely.
Even opioids too.
Opioid, yeah,
opioids too.
Opioid is for the other people who don't look like us, who had a lot of money. They deal with opioid, and for them, opioid they look upon them as victims, not as criminals like us. When in the 80s and 90s, when we were trying to cope with our issues by using drugs, by using weed and stuff of that nature, for $5 worth of weed, we're getting 14 years in jail. But for them, the government is pumping money to rehabilitate them, to create programs, and to help them medically and every way possible. But us, we were criminals. But I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is that depression among our black youth is real. So one of the things we need to do, first of all, we need to have that old time religion where we understand that concept. We are each other's. You are your brother's keepers. So which means that we need to learn to be nice to one another. There's no reason for the backbiting. There's no reason for you to talk bad about the others because of what he was wearing and this and that. Because people sometimes may be going through issues. The best you can do is to be nice to someone, because you don't know what they're going through, and sometimes they're at the tipping point, and you coming and having your 2 cents and trying to talk bad about the person can even push them to their limit, and they go home, they commit suicide. So let's learn to be nice to one another. Stop the nonsense. We are each other's brothers. We got to learn to love one another. We got to learn to protect one another. We got to learn to admonish one another. We have to learn to be a support system for one another. Let's pray for one another. Let's stop the talking. Let's stop the fighting. Let's stop the hating. Because you see the person is driving a nice car. You don't know how many sleepless nights the person had before they can buy that car. Sometimes they can't even pay for it because they have depression because they can't pay for the car. But you're busy hating. busy talking about the person. So let's stop that nonsense. Let's be each other's keeper. When you're in an environment, let's say in a church or in a group, you don't see one of your fellas, one of your sisters. After a while, you need to reach out to them, give them a holler, find out what's going on with them. It's important because a person may be home depressed, going through something, and you're busy talking, you're busy hating, you're not even seeing that the person's not there to see, because maybe a phone call can help the person from that breaking point to a point of rehabilitation. So let's learn to be each other's keeper. Let's learn to love one another. And let's learn to stop the abuse at home. If there is a young person out there that is being abused physically, sexually, and psychologically, and verbally, and emotionally, you need to learn to talk to someone. Don't keep it by yourself. Don't keep it to yourself until it pushes you to that point where depression becomes suicidal. Please talk to someone. We are here for you. As you can see, these guys have dealt with these things, and God has equipped them to be able to help you. And this is what the real word is all about. We are not here to judge you. We are here to help you with your issues. And if it is greater for us, we'll link you with professionals that deal with that. But certainly, as a pastor, I've been trained to do counseling, and I've been trained to do marital counseling, family therapy, and I've dealt with a lot of these stuff, and it is real out there. And so I'm being a whistleblower when it comes to that in order to help save our youth, because not too long ago I eulogized a young lady, and that hurts me to see we are losing our young people because we're already fewer already.
Yeah, of course.
We're already very few, so we need to protect because we are endangered species. We need to learn to protect, to keep what we have, because we're already very few. The cops are killing us. Most of our fellas and our young ladies are in jail, so they're being killed in wars. They're the first to go online to be killed. So we need to protect what we have. We need to be each other's keepers. We need to stop killing one another on the streets. We need to stop hating, and let's learn to love. Let's learn to protect. Let's learn to appreciate, and so we can save our young people.
We have a few comments, Sanders. You want to do the honors? Microphone.
Marcia Lewis says night to the panel. Just tuning in. Vivian T. No, say hi guys.
Shout out to you guys. How you doing?
Shah Mula, salute to you as well too. Pretty much that's it.
Alright. So, Sanders, what do you think is a good way that we could tackle depression within our communities right now at this point?
I think we need to have a lot of panel discussions. I think a lot of people need to a lot of panel discussions in our churches. A lot of adults needs to be honest, and needs to be honest when it comes to their kids, because just the other day at Jerusalem when I was speaking, there was a mother. She told me, her son needs mental support because he has mental issues. I feel like we, as a church, needs to really be transparent in a sense where, we feel comfortable, you understand? To be like, hey, my son is dealing with depression. My brother is dealing with depression. My sister's dealing with depression. And we just put all the cards out there. We deal with the problems, and we come up with the solutions, and we hold each other accountable. Absolutely. And if we do that, I think we can thrive and we can strive, in all honesty.
Yeah, I tip my hat to that mother who realized that her son needed help and who seek for help, because in our community, a lot of mothers and parents, they don't do that. They think that the child is just misbehaving because, if you don't have, they don't believe that young people have real issues that they go through that cause them to be depressed and even become suicidal until it's too late. But I'm glad that mother saw that. And another thing is that I was going to say something. This is very real. So when I remember what I was going to say, very important, but it slipped my mind. Go ahead.
I was going to say basically, shout out to Marlo, because Marlo's actually doing a convention in Connecticut where he talks about these things, and he brought that to light to me a few weeks ago about the high rate of suicide that's going on within our churches and the high amount of mental disability. He was giving me a lot of testimonies about a lot of different youth that he assisted in regards to those things, and he was saying that there's not that much people that these these young kids could actually talk to and turn to, who could help them within these situations. I think that's the saddest part, when you're basically going through something difficult and there's no one there to help you.
There's nowhere to turn. There's no support system.
And sometimes it is hard to talk to a parent. Sometimes you want to talk to a mom or a dad, or a sister or a brother, but you don't want them to judge you, and you don't want what you're saying to go to the wrong person. So therefore, like, you just keep it in, or you talk to like a third party person or someone on the outside, or sometimes you don't say anything at all. Like that kid I was talking about, like, he used to sit outside by himself and no one really noticed, you know?
Yeah.
And just like me, I stand on the roof and no one really noticed. Like, I used to just walk around alone, and I was a loner for a long time. Like, even sometimes I could be in a room full of people and still feel alone. Like, and everybody's thinking that I'm happy, everyone's looking at me, and
Oh my God.
I be feeling alone, I be feeling sad, because the majority of the time, most of the people, when there's a lot of people surround me, half the people, they giving fake love. Like, they don't really care about you or love you, or would. They don't really care.
That's
Like, they really
facts.
don't care. A lot of them low-key don't even like
You know what's so crazy? That's the reason why I
They
was
just
talking
be around.
about this, about Dr. Martin, especially with the young man who died from gun violence. He said that a lot of pastors really don't care.
They don't.
All they care is about their quota, and they care about
The number of
they
baptisms
they checks and stuff like that, but they don't really care. And I feel like we should care, because at the end of the day, the young people is the church of now. So it's very important that we do care.
Absolutely, and this is what I was about to say. You know, as a pastor, I'm glad the person said that, because as a pastor, I care about these things. And when I go to preach at a church to young people, I always love to do a roundtable discussion, a seminar. We talk about some of those real issues that's going on. We talk about the financial disparities in our community. We talk about how we can empower young people so that they can go to school, because the high school rate dropout is very high in our community. So we talk about those real issues that's going on in our community. I educate my young people. I help them to become better, because if we don't do it, nobody will. Because we're living in a system that was made to destroy our people, our young black men. And we need people, we need leaders in the community who are going to understand that, and who's going to take responsibility to teach, takes responsibility to coach. And another thing I always admonish the men to do is to, if you're a good father out there, you need to mentor another kid in your church, in your community, that is growing up without a father. You need to mentor them, because a lot of times it's because these young people are growing up without real leadership, real model, no real men that teach them, or to teach them how to become a man, and to shape their minds, shape their personalities. And so they feel so lonely, they feel so lonely, they feel so empty, they feel so worthless. And when we begin to put worth in them, when you begin to let them know that they were made by the Most High God, they were fearfully and wonderfully made, they begin to have a sense of worth. Our young people are depressed, they're killing themselves, they're walking around trying to find the best way to kill them, because they have no sense of worth. No one have ever put their arms around them to say, son, I love you. Young lady, I love you. You're important. You're good. You're a princess. You're beautiful. You're this. You're that. We don't do that in our community. Even the parents don't do that in the black community. I know it has a lot of things to do with our past, where we came from, the way the colonists has destroyed us, and so we don't have that sense of emotional investment. We don't do that emotional investment to our youths. Because of that, they are depressed. They're in drugs. They are taking drugs because they're trying to numb it. They become promiscuous because of these things. Because our girls are becoming so promiscuous because their dad at home have no time to tell them they love them. The first time they try to do that, they're trying to molest them. Why can we be loving dad who's going to love our kids, who's going to put our arms around our girls without having to have that sexual perversity in our minds? Let's protect our girls. Let's love them, but not abuse them sexually.
So, I guess we could do closing thoughts, Sanders?
I just want to just say this. I made a charge this past Sabbath, and I told all the young men to stand up. I said, remember, you guys are kings. Stand up. If you know you a king, stand up. Stand up, because knowing that you're not appreciated, you're not valued, but know that in God you are valued and just you're appreciated. And I said to them also too, you as a king, you have a responsibility to protect all your queens, because the black woman is the most unappreciated, devalued, abused, and used and violated. And I'm telling you, that right there esteemed the brothers and esteemed the sisters. After church, young sisters calling me king, I'm calling them queen, brothers are calling each other kings. I think we just need to continue to empower our people and let them know, listen, you're valued, you're appreciated. Don't devalue yourself. Pretty much that's what it is.
Absolutely. As a black man, I go home every day, I empower my wife to become the best professional she can be, to become the best mother she can be, to become the best wife she can be, and to reach for the stars. And I empower my girls to become, to grow up to become the most beautiful princess that can ever live, so that, and prepare them so that one day they can become a queen to someone. And so the gentleman that's going to come at my door for my girls, you have to be well prepared, because I'm preparing my girls to understand that they are queens. So if you're not a king, if you're not behaving like a king, pull up your pants, walk like a king, have your head up high like a king, and go to school, get a degree, get a job, have a sense of purpose like a king. You know what I'm saying? So we teach our black men those things, and some of the things we need to understand is that these are you parents out there, and you church leaders, and people at home. These are some of the signs of depression you got to look for in your young people. When you see these things, these are whistleblowers. You need to start doing something before it's too late. When you see feeling of hopelessness in our young people, you see feeling of pessimism. That's a sign of depression. When you see feelings of guilt, they're always guilty about something, guilty about things that's out of their control, that they didn't even do. They feel guilty for it. A sense of worthlessness, a sense of helplessness, that they feel that there are issues going on around them. They cannot help others and help themselves. They're being abused at home. They're being abused by their friends, and peer pressure, and sexual abuse, and cyberbullying, and they cannot help themselves and help others. And a sense of decreased energy in our young people. A young person does not have any decreased energy, a sense of fatigue. And if you're always fatigued and you have a sense of slowdown, you don't have no urge to do anything. And when you feel a sense of difficulty to concentrate or to remember things or making decisions, when you have difficulty sleeping at night, or when you finally fall asleep late and you wake up early, or you oversleep, you're oversleeping a lot, you have a decreased appetite, or sometimes your appetite increase, and you have weight change. If you're a person that always have a steady weight, and suddenly you see you're gaining weight, it could be depression. Or you're losing weight, could be depression. Thought of death and suicide, and even attempts of suicide, restlessness, irritability. All these things, those are signs of depression. When you see those signs, please talk to someone, seek for help, get counseling for these young people, bring them to our attention, and we'll do our best or link them to a professional so that we can save our youth, because we love them. They're important to us. They're important to the kingdom of God, and they're important to this community, because these are queens and kings. These are doctors, lawyers, pastors, teachers, nurses. We need to protect them. They are an endangered species, and they are precious to God and to us.
Amen, amen. So my closing thought basically is, just don't be too proud to ask for help. You see, I was vulnerable today on the show. I spoke about some things I probably didn't say, some things I have said. So I think the first step is to have the conversation. Second step is to admit, and third step is to get help, and fourth step is recovery. So keep God. Like, prayer does help a lot. You know, God is with us all the time, even sometimes when we feel like He's not. But God's always here for us, you know. And if you understand love, then you would understand compassion, you would understand sacrifice, and you would understand the world around you. John 3:16, simple. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. His Son didn't come to condemn us, His Son came to save us. And whoever so believed in His Son is already saved, but those that are not is already lost. So I think a lot of us, we don't know God, so we don't know love, and we don't know compassion and sacrifice, and so we're walking among the earth lost. So I urge you all to find yourselves and to find a God that lives within you. So that's our show for today. I thank my co-host, Sandra Cameau. I thank Pastor Pierre for coming through today. Shout out to everybody that was watching today. Shout out to everybody that's been watching. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting. If you want to subscribe to the YouTube, www.youtube.com/C for channel /The Real Word TV. That's www.youtube.com/C for channel /The Real Word TV. You could go donate www.gofundme.com /The Real Word. We're starting the diaper drive again.
Yeah, definitely. We want to ask you guys to anybody who wants to help us. We want to give at least 60,000 boxes, 10,000 each every size. So those who want to participate, please let us know. We're going to start with Brooklyn first. Then after that, we're going to work towards the rest. So for those who want to participate, let's make it happen. Let's get it.
And for those that don't know, last year we gave away 2,000 diapers, 3,000 wipes. Shout out to everybody that donated. Shout out to everybody that came through. So that's what we're doing today. We close out with a prayer real quick. When you guys want to pray.
Father God, we say thank you for your grace. We say thank you for your love and your mercy. We say thank you, Lord, for your awareness to really bring this topic that is really taboo. Father God, we can't be silent anymore. Our young people are dying from gang activity. Our young people are dying from prostitution. Our young people are dying from depression and low self-esteem. God, bring awareness so we can have recovery. We thank you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So shout out to everybody for supporting the Real Word, and we see you guys next week. Good night, people. Take care.